Okay, I apologize. I wasn't able to stream earlier because I was actually watching Kamen Rider with my buddies. So we're gonna get right to this. I promise when I wake up tomorrow we'll do some more. So I'll get about 30 minutes worth of work because I know this is still a very this will be a very long lore video. Okay, so we talked about psychological dis. Hold on, let me turn that off. So we talked about psychological disorders explored with care. So BPD's framework to explain fear of abandonment and identity confusion. The fear's experiences transcend diagnosis. Dependent personality disorder reflects her clinging and obedience dynamics, highlighting dependency on Katalina for emotional support. Trauma-related dissociation and fragmentation disrupt her narrative continuity and sense of self. This video will frame these disorders as explanatory tools and not clinical labels, promoting understanding rather than stigma. Again, I'm not a licensed psychologist or a therapist. I'm not going to diagnose Vira at all. I just have knowledge when it comes to this. And I cross-reference my own opinions with my psychological buddy. The stream is not sponsored by Four Loko. I was just getting wasted earlier. Okay. What do we need to talk about next? We can give. Oh, okay. I never. We can get actual real life yanderes, quote unquote. Okay, so section 13. Fuck. But again, I apologize, but I'm only gonna be doing with probably like 20 to 30 minutes worth of work. Once I wake up tomorrow, we'll continue on with this. It's just we were watching Kamen Rider movie, which took about 2 hours to watch, and mythological ties. I can spell. Excuse me. There's a lot of good. I think Lady Rokujo is going to be a perfect example for this. Probably Medea too, or people that know Fate. Yeah, I think that'll be good to use. Okay. So every time, double L right there. So Lady Rokujo for sure. I need to reread her story again. It's been a bit. Uh maybe, maybe, maybe. Definitely Medea. And if you ever get the chance, read Jason and the Argonauts. You'll get a You'll get a very very funny, not funny, very tragic tale. Hmm. She can be somewhat seen as a tragic heroine if that's the case. I think aloud. Just don't mind me. By her own. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go back again. I'm gonna kind of be speedrunning this because it's kind of late and actually I'm really tired. So, will tomorrow morning when I actually get up, I'll review this a little bit better. It's enough for Loco. As usual, unless you're an adult, don't drink. Bad habit. So we'll leave section 13 for now. I just need a section Lady Rokujo. I need to actually go over that one more time. I feel like she's a good one to use. Medea definitely Medea. Nurses probably. I'm using those three as placeholders for now. Most likely Medea, because yeah, poor Jason. But then again, infidelity was pretty rampant back then. So section 14, talk about, in a sense, can we actually put existential horror here? Probably. Existential horror. That was kind of a tough one. But I have ideas. I just need to get them to work. And hear me out. Hear me out. Because I mentioned this. I mentioned this in other streams. What happens if Catalina God forbid, ends up dying, or any Catalina just completely like disappears from Vira's life. Vira uses Catalina as an emotional anchor, so there's very bad implications if for Vera if anything happens to Catalina. Like what happens, and that's existential horror, and it is existential horror. You just don't know what would happen because usually with Yandere is it's like the person that they're emotionally attached to is their entire life, which is why they go out of their way to make sure they're part of that person's life because they don't have anything else afterwards. Yeah, that's actually ooh, wow. Yeah. Okay. We'll just for now we'll just write what comes to mind and we can go more in detail later if something comes up. The terror of non erasure. So one what do we even want to say target to their Hey, that was a lot. That was definitely a lot. Again, do not drink unless you're an adult. Holy shit. Oh my god. Vira's horror is existential, the terror of non-being, the erasure of self beyond physical death or madness. I.e., Vira's emotional anchor is Katalina, so if for some reason Katalina disappears from her life, hypothetically, then some dark implications could, could happen. Vira's a very special case compared to your, again, average everyday Yandere. Usually, Yanderes, excluding Vira in this case, in this example, are intimately attached to their loved one, but it's usually the case that they have no one else in their life to fill the void. So if they can't have that respective person, the shenanigans could happen, such as getting rid of important people in that person's life, or rather obstacles in their way. I have way too much. I let's just say I've read plenty of mangas, visual novels, light novels involving yanderes. It's not something I'm proud of, but I got at least some knowledge. But if for some reason that person disappears, then the yandere could potentially do something drastic. And it usually does not end well for that person or that person's loved ones. Just as going completely and utterly ballistic, or worse, killing that person or killing themselves. If I can't have you, you can't. No one can have you. That's oof, God. That's like the worst possible ending right there. Vira's case, it's different, mostly because in contrast to the average basic everyday yandere, she has attachments to people. For example, she is respected amongst her peers and build interpersonal relationships that go beyond the common yandere. For example, like excluding Luane, she has a good relationship with Gran, with the captain, whatever you want to pick. She has a good relationship with the captain, has a good relationship with all her subjects and her superiors. She can function as a normal person. It's just the yandere shenanigans like undermine her herself. This is why she's a complex character. That's why we have to look beyond the yandere. The title. She just gets a very bad rap. With good reason, because again, Vira is kind of can be very quick for cold puffs at times. So I'm not going to deny that. She's oh my god. I was talking to my fighting game buddy, and we were discussing it earlier. I was like, yeah, Vira is definitely not one-dimensional. Okay, I did go into a lot of detail about that. I do need to expand on that. Okay, so we'll add like a different little we'll add like another subsection to this. The alcohol's already hitting me. And as usual, if anybody ever has requests for like lore videos like this, just let me know. 9 times out of 10, I will probably know because I had no life. As I tell people, I'm just a soldier that has too much damn time on his hands and had a very interesting life before the military. Just one could see her losing Katalina as a deep fear. No. One could see her losing Katalina as not the only fear, but one could see her losing Katalina as not the only fear, but being forced to live without her. Being forced to live without her I've said some pretty cringe, diabolical stuff in my short time on YouTube. Well, at least doing these verification, outlining, script writing. But I'm about to say some pretty cringy and corny shit. Well, write it. So you've been warned. As Aku would say it, Aku would say in Samurai Jack, he's about to unleash an unspeakable evil upon the world, and I'm about to cook. So you've been warned. God damn. Okay. I'm not gonna copyright this shit too. No, I'm not gonna copyright it. I'm just gonna put my YouTube tag on this, like the YouTube name on this. Okay. She's not brave. Not afraid of losing Katalina. Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah. Oh, God. Rose. She's not afraid of losing Katalina. She's afraid of having to live after. Oh my, why don't you write like live after? Not afraid of losing Katalina. She's afraid of having to live after. All jokes aside, it's an existential void that pretty much defines her. Jesus, oh my God. I'm gonna have to read this entire section over again to just I have to read this over because there's a lot of stuff that I wrote. So section 14, existential horror, identity without anchors. I think that's something I'm gonna be working on. I gotta sleep on this one. So Vira's horror is existential, the horror of non-being, the erasure of a self beyond physical death or madness. I.e., Vira's emotional anchor is Katalina. So if for some reason Katalina disappears from her life, hypothetically, then some dark implications could happen. Usually with yanderes, excluding Vera in this example, are intimately attached to their loved one. But it's usually the case that they have no one else in their life to fill the void. So if they can't have that respected person, then shenanigans could happen, such as getting rid of important people in that person's life, or rather obstacles in their way. But if for some reason that person disappears, then the yandere could potentially do something drastic, such as completely and utterly going ballistic, completely and utterly going ballistic, or worse, i.e., if I can't have him, no one can have him. We've seen it happen before. Like, we all know what I mean. In Vera's case, it's different, mostly because in contrast to the average, basic, everyday yandere, she has attachments to people. For example, she is respected amongst her peers and can build interpersonal relationships that go beyond the common yandere. Like, again, she has a good relationship with whichever captain you choose. Her, her, Narmaya, UL have a very respected relationship with each other. They all respect each other. Anybody that's a higher authority than her, she respects, and her underlings respect her. So, looking past her yandere shenanigans and antics, she's a relatively normal, capitalized quotation marks person, or or rather, she can exist in society. I need a drink to that. I need to actually fucking drink to that. Don't drink. Please don't drink. I need a drink to this. Oh, okay. One could see her losing Katalina as not the only fear, but being forced to live without her is something she could potentially not live with. Again, Katalina is seen as an anchor, a stable self to cling to. She's not afraid of losing Katalina. She's afraid of having to live after her. Again, I copyrighted that shit. This is an existential void that can define that defines her tragedy in a sense. Okay, so Granblue is funny because it's not niche, definitely not niche, but a good amount of people do know it, but a lot of people don't know the lore. A lot of people got exposed to Granblue because of Versus and Relink. So just for the sake of this video, I'll use Versus as a point of reference, just because it's more so what a lot of people were exposed to with Versus Granblue. Because I kid you not, like back when Granblue Versus first released back in yesteryear, 5 years ago, like a lot of people got exposed to the lore or the verse. I cannot speak right now. To the verse because of that game. A lot of people got vested interest in that. So we'll just use that as our point of reference. So I'll have to definitely come back to section 14 when I wake up tomorrow. So this is 15. Holy shit. Section 15. Verse. Okay, so I think the name escapes me right now, but the VA, at least in Japanese, did a good job of conveying how Cuckoo for Cocoa Plus Vira is. If you guys have never played Hyperdimension Neptunia, or if you have played it before, she has the same voice actress as Noir slash Blackheart. So when I saw, it, I'm like, hey, it's Noir. Holy shit! Noir is voicing Vera. This fits because Noir has no friends. So Vera. Anyways, yeah, like she does a very good job of conveying Vera's emotional state. So, voice conveys. We're gonna wrap it up right after this. And again, as soon as I get up tomorrow, we'll continue on with this. Patrolled fragility. Is it fragility? Yeah, it would be fragility. Her mannerisms for sure. Yours. Look, for people that never played Melty Blood, she has the fucking Tatari smile. If y'all know who Walacha is that gigantic ass fucking gaping ass smile. Like, oh, holy shit, Vera, please, and that's her taunt too. Well, at least pre-install Vera. I play fighting games, so install mode is the Henshin transformation she does with Luminaria. I cannot pronounce shit right now. Confident. Okay, so again, as I was mentioning, okay, where? Okay, we'll chat for a second. So I was alluding to this earlier. One of besides her cuckoo for Cocoa smile, her Tatari smile, one of the biggest things for Vera that you can see her instability, or and I quote Yandere tendencies and craziness, is the eyes. So if people don't know, the eyes usually are a key indicator of someone's emotional state. For example, 2B in this game, the blindfold. It's not technically a blindfold; it's more so as a visor. In Nier Automata, before humanity was erased, they saw the eyes as a form of emotion. The androids wanted to do away with that, not have their androids have emotions. So that's why they wear the blindfold. It's technically a visor. And again, the eyes are seen as a key indicator for someone's emotional state. In Vera's case, look how she interacts with Katalina. Eyes are normal in a sense, but look how she interacts with Lorraine. Completely and utterly without any detail. Like she's completely like gone. Like she's gonna kill the fuck with you. Anyways, that's pretty much it. The eyes are a key indicator of someone's emotional state, and if you see how Vera's eyes change between her character interactions, you'll see if she's deranged, in a loving state, or just normal. Like have her interact with somebody that she actually has a good, respectful interaction with, like with Grant. For the most part, she conveys her normal eyes. Then when she gets in the battle, they just switch. Okay, but yeah, that's pretty much the gist of that. Her eyes are a key indicator of her emotional state at the time. So, okay, we'll do this the easy way. So I don't even need to go into detail about that. But yes, as I mentioned, eyebrows usually not eyebrows. The eyes usually are an indicator of someone's emotional state or how they're feeling. So pay attention to Vira next time you play like Granblue Versus, and you'll see her how her eyes shift whenever she's interacting with some character. You know, wait, I'm just the hell am I doing? I'm just showing. This may take a second. All right, all that loads up. Oh, that's gonna be loud as fuck. Let me actually mute that. Yeah, that's gonna be loud as fuck. You just hear Blue Versus. Okay. So let me just adjust. I'll have to adjust the camera. So give me a second. Yeah. So as soon as that loads up, we'll get to that. For some reason, it takes this game like forever to load up. But again, as mentioned, like the eyes definitely are the biggest indicator of the emotional state, besides the vocal cues. What I can do is we'll use this as a point of reference. I know we don't do this, but yeah, we'll use this as a point of reference. I want people to actually listen to her interaction and look at her face when she's talking. I'll use two examples. I'll use Katalina because again, Catalina's a big thing with Vira, especially in regards to her Yandere tendencies. And we'll use like Loane, who she has extreme animosity to. So I'll have to pause the music. Just give me one sec. I was just waiting for someone to say, "Hey, yeah, you're playing Granblue. Let's go." I'm like, "Fuck you, no, I'm not playing Granblue right now." You didn't see anything. Okay. Versus start. Okay. Where the fuck is he? Just keep once. Oh, this is immediate? Oh, that sucks. I'll have to do it again.
呼び出された嫌な予感
Give me a sec. I'll have to do this. Oh, yeah. I'll have to do this again. Give me a sec.
Battle 1 Engage
Okay, so let me just adjust my things on my side so you guys can actually see that. Good game, by the way.
Vira. Low.
So yeah, just pay attention to her. Pay attention to her
Vira
reps.
versus Low.
なんでビーラちゃんに呼び出された？嫌な予感しかしねえ。
そうですね。理由は特にありません。死ね！
Believe in victory. Battle 1. Engage.
Listening to Katalina.
Vira.
That's just for me from here.
Katalina. Vira versus Katalina.
Vira、加減は無用だ。今の君のすべてを私に見せてくれ。お姉様が私のすべてを。
Believe in victory. Battle 1. Engage.
Her eyes do go different. Anyways, back to lore. God, I hope no one saw me actually playing this because I can just hear it now. Hey, you're playing Granblue. Let's fucking go. No. Why do y'all want to bully me? Okay. Pretty much death. And, Onesama. Where were we? Jesus Christ. Alright. Okay. Alright. Usually, again, it's the win quotes. Win quotes are a good indicator. Supers, especially with her. When she's in her install mode, if you super and you beat Katalina while in super form, she cradles an unconscious Katalina in a very intimate and funny way. Yeah. Vira's funny. Vira's very, very funny. Animations. Okay. We'll finish up at the 1 hour mark. We did a good amount. As I promised, tomorrow when I get up, we'll actually continue on with this because this probably a lot more I can add. I'm not trying to cut any corners. I'm trying to make this as thorough as possible. Because again, she's a character that gets a very bad rap, and obviously with what I showed doesn't help. Loane clearly showed Yandere tendencies towards other people. And with Katalina, again, she showed it, but we have to look beyond that. She's a very complex character. She is beyond all the Yandere shenanigans. Okay, No, she's mostly saying, what is like a fucking weirdo. And it's great for me to describe it. That's super funny. Okay, so we did a good amount of work today. Well, we did a lot of work today because I screened for a good while in the morning, and we did a good chunk right now. So let's just go over the things that I've gone over because it's a lot. So we primarily focused on section 13 and yeah, we focused on section 13, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, so symbolism and mythological ties. So I have to speak on this one because I need to do more extensive research on Lady Rokujo, Medea. I know Medea because Casher and Eurystheus. But I feel those are going to be good examples to use. So mirror symbolizes fractured selfhood and loss of coherent identity. Reflections show what is lost or hollowed. Mythological parallels: Lady Rokujo, Medea, and Eurystheus. Vira, in a sense, can be seen as a tragic heroine shaped by her own mind. Yeah, no offense about that one, Chief. Section 14, existential horror, identity without anchors. I'm still working on that one. I gotta do some cross-referencing later. So Vira's horror is existential, the terror of non-being, the erasure of self beyond physical or madness, i.e. Vira's emotional anchor is Katalina. So if for some reason Katalina disappears from her life, hypothetically, then some dark implications could happen. Usually with Yandere, excluding Vira in this example, are intimately attached to their loved one, but this is usually the case it's usually the case that if they have no one in their life to fill the void. That sounded. Wait, what? Hold on. Usually with yanderes, excluding Vira in this example, are intimately attached to their loved one. Okay. But it's usually the case that they have no one else in their life to fill in the void. Okay, there we go. So if they can't have that respected person, then shenanigans could happen, such as getting rid of the important people in that person's life, or rather obstacles in their way. But if for some reason that person disappears, then the yandere, always proofread. Then the yandere could potentially do something drastic, such as going completely and utterly ballistic or worse. In Vera's case, it's different, mostly because in contrast to the average, basic, everyday yandere, she has attachments to people. For example, she is respected amongst her peers and can build interpersonal relationships that go beyond the common yandere. I can expand on that later. One could see her losing Katalina as not only fear, but being forced to live without her is something she could potentially not live with. Again, Katalina is seen as an anchor, a stable self to cling to. I gotta straight to this one. Look, I'm copywriting this shit. TM, this dumb streamer, or this dumb YouTuber. He's not afraid of losing Katalina. She's afraid of having to live after. TM, me. This is an existential void that defines her tragedy in a sense. So using Granblue Versus as a portrayal, voice acting conveys controlled fragility, very shaking but precise tone max deep instability. As you've seen with Katalina's intro. 1 second. Hey, Onesama! Then starts laughing completely, utterly maniacally. Her confident, twitching body language subtly reveals inner turmoil and emotional conflict. The eyes are often seen as a key indicator of someone's emotional state, So in Vera's case, her eyes change depending on who she interacts with. And as I mentioned, using Near Automata as an example, they knew that humans, their emotional state was usually tied with their eyes. That's why they in that quote, blinded themselves. They didn't blind themselves because they're blindfolded visors in a sense, so they can see. But they didn't want people seeing emotions, so they blinded themselves. So Vera versus character she has a good relationship with. Her eyes appear normal, as you see with Katalina's intro, then become less detailed when she gets into battle. Could allude to her being fine with the character, but shutting herself out of respect for them in the encounter. Vera versus character she dislikes. Eyes appear normal, but immediately become less detailed. Not really vocal towards the characters, it depends on who it is, but not really vocal, more so takes the encounter serious. Oh my god, serious. Serious from the get-go. Usually like with characters like Beelzebub, whatever form of Belial of the day, or just an evil character in general. So much, yeah. And as Luane, as I've shown, her eyes are not detailed. She has the crazy eyebrow formation, and she has a crazy expression from the beginning to the end, showing her intense dislike of him and stating just to die. Because Luane likes Katalina in a very weird way. One that obviously she does not approve of, Vera. It's a sense where you can't have Onesama. Onesama's mine. When quotes and animations create dissonance, surface elegance clashes with desperate neediness and vulnerability. A good example is her actions. Vera appears as the proper Ojo-sama 1 second, and the next acting manic the next. So comes out proper, the next second Cocoa Puffs. Her being idle against Katalina, for example, have her saying Onesama lovingly. Yeah, she'll just Onesama coupled with the taunt, coupled with her taunt, she'll be hunched over, her bangs covering her eyes so you can't see her eyes, and her face will have the Tatsuri exaggerated smile, the big ass smile, in her saying Onesama. I'll be using normal Vera as an example because install Vera is she's a kind of emotionless in a sense. She's way more robotic, if you get what I mean. So yeah, I won't be using her, but I'll be using normal Vera, not install Vera. So normal Vera, not in the install mode, does a better job of showcasing her crazy antics. Her super has her going through numerous colorful expressions and emotional states. She goes from somewhat serious, angry, crazed, into even more crazy. Okay, so anyways, good stuff. We did this for an hour. We covered a lot of bases, but unfortunately, we still have a lot of detail and areas to cover. This is going to be a long-ass video. I'm going to make sure no stones are left unturned. We're going to go balls deep into this one. So tomorrow, as soon as I get up, we'll continue on with this. Other than that, good stuff, and I'll see people tomorrow morning. We out. Have a good one.